All right. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is I'll name this segment later. GTG spits that grease, etc., etc., etc. And if the title hasn't already given me away, let's get right into it. So, Review Tech USA, who doesn't go by Review Tech USA no more. He doesn't go by, well, he kind of still does go by Review Tech USA, but he doesn't have a channel to go with it. Womp womp. The RTU streaming channel, which is his main bread and butter now, is now been renamed LOLCOW Basement, rather fitting, being that he ain't doxed himself like, well, in my timeline currently, he ain't doxed himself a couple of weeks ago, and everybody now can see that house, and that house isn't as big as he made it out to be. It's not that big at all. I don't know what he was trying to do to flex, but he ain't sat there and exposed even more of his lies, as any good lying monkey does. So there's that. Anyway, Review Tech USA got fired from LOLCOW Tech Talk, and he is out of the LOLCOW universe. Well, kinda. He's still hanging around, obviously, and he's still gonna try to milk them on the fucking, in the algorithm and in the search engine, but he just doesn't want to be under Keem's thumb anymore. Now, all of a sudden, he ain't sat there and found his self-respect, what little he had, if he had any, and now he don't want to work for him. He don't want to slum for Keem anymore. He don't want to be on his hands and knees anymore for Keem. He wants to try to be his own man and do the same shit that drove him into Keem's arms in the first place and put him on his knees in front of Keem in the first place. That seems kind of ass backwards. You were fucking up beforehand doing what you're doing. You go and work under Keem. You didn't like how people were getting certain advantages that you weren't getting. You felt like you weren't making enough money, which makes me wonder, as other people, what kind of money problems do you have and why do you have so many of them, right? And then you decided to break away from the show, LOLCOW Tech Talk, go back to the shit that you're doing in the exact same place that you're in. Your view count isn't any better. Money really isn't any better. You're just stuck now. And you're bitching and complaining the entire time, according to Jay and other people. Matter of fact, since you signed the contract, you were bitching and complaining. On top of the fact that you were saying that you didn't have time to do your own shows on your own channel, yet Jay found the time to. Jay would stream before Tech Talk, and he would stream afterwards. So he was collecting ridiculous money doing that shit. And he was streaming on his own channel while other LOLCOW shows are playing, and it didn't bother him at all. So why was it a problem for you? Rich tells us, oh, they kept changing the time frame. They kept changing their time slot. Well, yeah, you were a fucking deficit, and they didn't see a need to put you in a premium in a premium time slot even when they're directing, giving you the redirect from the more popular shows, you still couldn't hold on to them. You were losing half the viewership at times. So I can understand why they were moving you into weaker time slots to get you kind of to develop and kind of deal with a smaller audience before they can put you back up there with the big boys. I could see that. It made sense. Now the question is, were you guys as weak as Mafia Milkers, or now called LOLCOW Milkers or LOLCOW Mafia, or whatever the fuck they call shit? I don't know. It's just, all I know is that fucking Savage and Psycho Mom have some pretty nice titties. Other than that, I don't know what else is going on. I don't know what all the other silly shit's going on over there. Anyway, you clearly you weren't holding up your end of the bargain. Jay was pretty much doing the majority of the work. And even then, you guys still had problems. But Jay at least was able to hold certain shit up. When you were fucking hosting the shows on the nights that you did, it was almost always a complete and utter clusterfuck. So anyway, yeah, so it sounds like they were kind of waiting on you to quit. My question is, to those of you listening, was Rich set up from the beginning? First off, the day Rich got fired live on air, by the way, that's humiliating. Not getting fired, because, you know what I'm saying, it happens. But getting fired live on air and shit's fucking crazy. But it's funny how he got fired literally a year to the day that he ain't fired Jay. And all of that bullshit happened. Then, the way that, you know what I'm saying, Rich was complaining about the money and this, that, and the third, and all the different shit that that Keem wanted you to do. And Boogie was over there punking you guys, a couple nights a week or whatever, because you guys kept fucking up. This, that, and the third. It makes me think, man, they were trying to set Rich up. He was supposed to be their little humiliation butt monkey. and whatnot, and they were going to develop Jay and then try to place Jay with someone else and make Rich the third wheel, just something to laugh at. And in a lot of ways, they may have been waiting to see how long Rich was going to stick around. It didn't seem like too much of a surprise when Rich quit. No one was losing any tears over that shit. Jay was, kinda, but that's Jay. No one else really seemed to give a shit. Then the conspiracy gets out there that, who was actually behind Rich getting fired? Jay said he had nothing to do with it. Boogie was like, that's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? He should be honest. He should stop trying to play the victim. And he should be upfront about what his concerns were. Then Boogie lays it all out there that it was all of our decision. It was Boogie, it was Wings, it was Keem, it was Jay. You know what I'm saying? I guess Becky was in there and shit. All of that. They all decided to get you up and out the whip. Which is weird because they still let your ass come around and hang around just so they could mock you and laugh at you later. That shit is wild to me. And then I think the only reason, one of the other reasons why they brought you in, besides getting some type of strange, maybe I'm reaching with this, but get some type of revenge for Jay, was so Becky, who basically got LOLCOW Queens off of Rich's back anyway, so she could continue to humiliate you even more. And because Rich is such a spiteful, resentful bitch, he was going to complain about anything and everything. He was going to talk to everybody, try to find out what they were making, try to find out what are the perks that they were getting that he didn't get, because Rich apparently don't know how to read a contract. He apparently don't know how to negotiate for terms and shit, because the way Jay explains it, he got everything he wanted in his contract, which means that Jay and Rich may not even have the same type of contract. Not to say Jay has gone into that. I'm just saying Jay's not complaining about his contract. So he must have gotten everything he wanted. And Rich has never been a businessman. He's a talking mouthpiece, to be honest with you. He's nothing really more than that. A lot like a DSP. He'll pretty much take whatever you give him. And then Rich is talking this nonsense about he signed potentially a 5-year contract or whatever, a long-term contract that you can't negotiate each and every year. What the fuck are you doing signing long-term contracts for, Rich? What are you doing? And that's alleged, of course, but Rich is just stupid enough to do it. So, like, you were pulled away from your own show, which wasn't doing shit anyway. It sounds like you weren't getting the money that you want, or you weren't negotiating the money that you want. You were being lazy as shit on the show anyway. It was just like you running your own streams, useless and worthless. You're mad that you're not making the type of money, you're not pulling the type of super chats that everybody else is doing, but you were literally barely there for a month. You have to go through the growing pains and shit. You wouldn't have gone to Keem in the first place if your own content was making you the money that you needed to keep moving. What are you doing? And then, and this needs to be said, you got kids, motherfucker. You got 3 kids that depend on you, which is already unfortunate that they were born into those type of circumstances. But you got 3 kids to fucking worry about. And you sitting there worrying about who's getting in between Becky's thighs? You sitting there talking shit about Keem and Boogie and all them other guys, and they got their money right, or at least somewhat. You got kids, motherfucker, and you don't do shit all day. You have all day to stream. But see, you were more worried about getting featured on all those other shows. That's why you were up all night, or that's why you were barely getting any sleep, or that's why you were bitching and complaining about how you couldn't stream on your own shit. You were hoping to get a feature, a guest spot on some of these other shows. On top of that, and this definitely needs to be pointed out because for anybody who's been following this to any degree, you know this, you were still vying for that 4th spot, I should say, on LOLCOW podcast. See, you wanted to be on the main show. That's the only reason why I think you went over there with Keem in the first place. Yeah, you have the little tech talk with Jay or whatever, training wheels until they could bring somebody else in. Which apparently was, what's his name? David Jaffe. I guess he's the permanent guy over there with Jay right now, and then they rotate other guests or whatever. I don't know, but it's something along those lines. But you were still vying for that seat on LOLCOW Live, which that seat was too big for your ass anyway, which is kind of funny because you're too big for everything anyway. Anyway, that seat was already too big for your ass. You couldn't fill them shoes. And you're only like 5'7" or whatever the fuck anyway. So you damn sure ain't man enough for that. Just because you're rotund doesn't mean that you're man enough for it. You couldn't carry that shit. You couldn't carry your own shit. So what the fuck were you going to bring the LOLCOW podcast? You want to know why you wanted that show? you wanted that show so you could try to go ahead and show up Becky. You know, that fucking BBW piece of ass that you've been trying to get at for damn near a decade and you were never able to pull the trigger on. That's what that was. You thought, oh, if you have your own show, oh, you're the king of LOLCOW podcast or LOLCOW Live. And she's the queen of LOLCOW queens, and you somehow thought that would put you on equal standings. Which, now to think about it, why did they ask you, Rich, to drive out there to Becky for you guys to meet up in a Walmart parking lot or some bullshit, whatever it was? Why were they asking you to go out there and to tell her what her punishment was or to distribute it or whatever? And then Becky don't show up and you out there waiting for however long it was, then you drive back home and then you mad as fuck about $40. How the fuck did it cost you $40 to go to a Walmart? Where the fuck was that Walmart? Where the fuck was that Walmart at? And why would you agree to do it? And then her not showing up makes sense. Becky's out to waste people's time. You didn't see that? You didn't see that wasn't amusing and there's people laughing behind your back and shit because you ain't went out there like a fucking idiot? Because you still got your nose up in the air for her piece of puss? What the fuck is wrong with you, Rich? Motherfucker, you got kids. You still ain't learned a goddamn thing. And then you're saying that, oh, I didn't like the way I was being treated, you know, the money or whatever. And, oh, Keem, I could have carried that main show. You know I could have carried that main show. Listen to me, Keem. You need to listen. You know I could carry that show. You can't carry your own shit. You were looked at as a deficit to fucking LOLCOW Tech. That's why they were able to replace your ass so fast. I think they were always planning on doing it. Rich, well, no, fuck it. Rich, Keem was keeping you around to be his personal butt monkey until he could get someone else, and then he was going to maneuver you somewhere else. Because there ain't no point in getting rid of you. It sounds like you were selling yourself cheap already. There ain't no point to let a good whore go to waste. Just because he's not interested, just because he doesn't want to fucking expose you to the higher up clientele, which is weird because all of them over there are fuck ups. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that he had to get rid of you. I don't get it, man. I don't know how you fell for that. As someone as egotistical and narrow-minded as your dumbass is, you ain't walked into that shit hook, line, and sinker and didn't get a goddamn thing out of it. And then Boogie's over there trying to convince you to stay on and says, oh, when your first paycheck comes in, you're going to see how much of a fuck up how you fucked up. That's funny because that sounds like a pretty definitive final conclusion. He wasn't saying, hey, man, you're going to see that paycheck and then you should really reconsider coming back. He said, hey, you might as well just go ahead, you know, you're going to see that final paycheck and you're going to find out what's up. And then he said that you might as well come to fat camp because you ain't already paid for it. So how is it that you've been bitching and complaining for the better part of a month and you already paid for your slot, apparently in full, to go to fat camp? Truth be told, you should go anyway. But the point being is that why would you commit to that? And now you're saying, oh, I'm not going to go this, that, or third. Keem's not going to reimburse you. If he's smart, he's not going to. Fuck all that. Get your ass out there and get farmed for content. And now that you're on your own and you don't have shit else to really do or to say, at least nothing of relevance, not to say that you ever did, you might as well go out there. You got played. You got played hard. You got your time wasted, whatever little dignity you had left, not to say that you had any in the first place. Your money got fucking drained up, allegedly, but that was you being lazy and complacent. That really doesn't have anything to do with Keem. And Jay's still prospering, which is weird, Rich, because what'd you say in early 2024? You said that, you know what I'm saying, you know, cry more, snort Hogan, cry harder, hate Army, you know what I'm saying, kiss the ring, suck dick, all that bullshit, right? And then you sat there and went on your lame ass streams and said, wait, in 1 year, I'm going to be, you know, 100 times better than Jay. I'm going to be in 100 times better of a slot. How's that music business going, Rich? How's you selling your fucking house up from up and under your parents doing, Rich? You know what I'm saying? How's your kids doing, Rich? How you doing? Tell me what your life's like. And now I'm hearing shit that now I'm hearing shit that you're telling other detractors that they need to suck Phil's dick to exist? The fuck have you been doing the last few years, Rich? Most people who do this do it as a hobby. It's side work. Not even work. Well, it shouldn't be work. If it gets work, it's gonna be a problem. But you know what I'm saying? This is just some side shit. You need this. RTU streams is literally built on DSP, because anytime you talk about anything else, it's just you flip-flopping and no one takes you seriously. So you need this more than whoever it is that you're saying that needs to suck dick. Which is weird that you would say that, because weren't you just on fucking Keem's? Weren't you just on your knees fucking sucking off Keem? So who are you to say anything about anything? And whatever. We'll approach that one later and shit, because I definitely want to get that. I need to hurry up and download that shit before you fucking make that shit disappear, because that's what cowards do. They go ahead and they delete shit, or they private shit, or whatever, or they unlist it. So we'll see what's up with that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. I think Rich got played. I think Keem has a history of collecting his enemies. He knew Rich wasn't going to commit. Rich can't commit to shit. The fact that Rich was such a bitch that he gave up his 1 million sub YouTube plaque. I wonder if he gave up the 5K one and the 100,000 one too, now that I think about it. If you're going to give up the 1 million one, you might as well give up the rest of them too. Anyway, I wonder if Keem does have those. I really, really want to know about that. The fact that he gave that up, the fact that he gave up the main channel in the first place, the fact that he's been incredibly codependent on other detractors to, I can't even say to stay relevant. I can't even say to fucking tread water. I don't know what the fuck he's doing over there, to be honest with you. He's just existing. No different than DSP. They're brothers in failure as far as I see it. Let alone fuck brothers of destruction. They're just brothers of failure. I don't know what he's doing, but it sounds like he walked into a trap because of desperation. And now you got Keem out here saying, well, he has all these money problems and issues. I don't want to go into that, but he's complained about it plenty. So now they airing out your business, bruh. You got money problems, you got issues, go out there and get a fucking job, bruh. Aren't you cool with, you know what I'm saying, some dudes on that side of the detractor fence? Ask one of them to hook your ass up with a reference or some shit. Fuck is wrong with you? Wow, how the fuck are you gonna sit there and call DSP fucking pathetic and shit, where it sounds like you're right where he's at? You both need a bath and a fucking job application. Probably brush your teeth too. Jesus Christ, man. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. How do you guys feel about the situation? Rich is a fucking failure. I ain't said that for the longest. Plenty of people before me have said it, plenty of people afterwards. For those of you who were, and I said this on stream like a year ago, I've been saying it. For any of you guys who are in bed with Rich, I said like a year ago, a year plus ago, before he even turned on detractors and shit, that he was gonna end up turning on y'all. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean Hate Army, I don't mean Snort Hogan, I don't mean Shinko, I don't mean any of those cats. I mean the cats that were still over there chilling with him and shit, being cool with him or whatever. Y'all and whatnot. Because the way I'm hearing it, Rich's main advocate and whatnot, him and Rich don't talk because Rich ain't sat there and spoke poorly about somebody's dead friend. Now he's telling another detractor to suck his dick, or sorry, that he sucks Phil's dick. I mean, it's funny how I ain't said all this. I told you all this was gonna happen. Sooner than later, you can't trust Rich. You guys ain't sat around and saw how he played Jay. You saw how he ain't sat there and got into a conflict with side scrollers for no goddamn reason. You saw him crash out multiple times over the span of the last year plus. What the hell made you guys think it was gonna be any different for y'all? Really? You guys already saw all the signs, man. Whatever. You got it, you know what I'm saying? Everybody gotta learn somehow. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And this is I'll name this segment later, Spit That Grease. Rich is out of fucking pocket. Out of pocket. Whoever it was, he said that dude sucks dick or whatever. Hopefully that dude approaches that. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. And then the dude who he ain't spoken on fucking on that dude's dead friend, he needs to take care of that too, but I'll let him handle it in his own time, because that's kind of wild. Because he said something along the lines that you're being sensitive or whatever. Essentially, he called him a bitch because whatever. I don't know, because drinking buddies or whatever the fuck. I mean, Rich don't have no friends himself either. So I guess that's the reason why Rich feels like he can talk down on somebody, but that's, nah, that don't work like that. Because if he would talk down on your friend like that, just imagine what he'd do to one of your family members. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. For the third time, take care of yourselves, and I'll let y'all later. How Rich gonna call somebody sensitive when he's sensitive himself? Take care of yourselves, people. I'll catch you on the flip later. Holy shit, man. That's fucking wild. Wild.